Hey everyone, it's Gamer Derek here back with another Maplestory guide for you. If you do find this guide helpful or if you're able to learn any new bits of information, please do just hit that like button below. It does really help me out. And if you really enjoyed it, you can hit that subscribe and the notification bell just to get a heads up whenever I'm coming out with a new video, as I will be making these hopefully every day. The personal plug there aside, today we'll just be going over anything and everything you'll need to know about pets in Maplestory. As I mentioned in an earlier video, this is a major component of the game that I had actually overlooked, thinking it was mostly just kind of like a cosmetic thing, despite them being combat pets, so that's my bad. What I hadn't really realized at the time is that they are a huge component to your overall damage, especially once you get into the later game and you get into those chaos raids. Specifically, I don't have one quite yet, but if you are able to get an epic pet, I've just got an exceptional one here. It can boost your DPS by up to 30%, which is a huge difference, especially when you're doing 150 million damage over the course of the fight. So it'll help you a lot when you're looking to top those damage charts and get your DPS up there. Without further ado, though, the introduction all over here, we can get right into it. Your first introduction to pets is actually just going to be in the Maple Guide. As soon as you get to level 50, you'll get a Maple Guide that'll just start walking you through the basics of pets. It'll walk you through your first capture, getting the candy, which you'll need to feed them, and then traps, how to use them, all that sort of stuff. And although all of that information does remain true, there's just a quick little tip for the guide in itself, actually, before we move on from there, is you can go and capture the slime that you need to in order to complete that Maple Guide from outside of the Maple Guide zone. You can just open your map here, and if you click in the search and then type in slime, it'll show you where slimes can be acquired, and anywhere you can kind of kill these regular green level slimes, you can also catch pet versions of them as well. Later in the video, I will show you another way that you can do this. It will be in the pet album, but this just saves you a lot of time because I find in the Maple Guide area, there's just so many people there at once and not enough slimes for everybody that it can really slow your progress down in completing that quest, should you actually even choose to complete the Maple Guide. And just before we get more in the more detailed and depth of actual pets and their stats and capturing them and all that sort of stuff, I'm just going to quickly go over the pet menu here, which is currently blank just because I don't have my pet summoned right now. You can first summon your pet by just going to the pet tab in your inventory and double clicking it. Or as you can see I've done here, you can attach it to your hotkeys and clicking for me number 4 would summon and dismiss my pet. On this screen, you can see the name of your pet, which I've taken the liberty of renaming mine, the level of your pet, its current experience to the next level as well, and the talents it has, the current bonus attack it's giving you, how much it gives you per level, as well as, yeah, its bonus talents, which will increase your stats. We'll go into a lot more of this stuff later and what you should be looking for, the important stuff, the not so important stuff. You'll also see it has auto revive, which is really helpful. It's when you die and you go into that tombstone phase where you have a health bar, your pet will actually come along and instantly revive you without your party needing to do anything. And then I'm going to skip use item quickly here, and we're just going to go down to auto loot, which is just as it sounds. It's you no longer need to worry about going around, running, picking up those items, making sure you got everything, the quest items, all that sort of stuff, as your pet will do it for you. And if you don't want specific things, or you actually want to get very specific things, you can click the gear icon here, which will bring up the auto loot settings for you. And in here, you can select or deselect any specific items, materials, that sort of stuff that you do or do not want your pet to pick up automatically for you. Additionally, you can choose the quality of item that it'll pick up. So if you don't want any gear that's below blue, below exceptional gear, you can select exceptional and it won't pick up any common or rare items. The next thing here is going to be probably my favorite and one of the most useful things about having a pet, non-combat or combat, is this use item. It's essentially a way for you to automatically use consumable items. So again here, if you just click that gear icon, it'll bring up this window for you here. And then in your inventory, you can scroll down to consumables, which is where your potions will be and those herbs that you can use to restore health over time. You can drag and select any that you'd like over into the section over here, which I've already done, but I can redo for you. And then as well as you can choose at what health percentage your pet will use that for you. So for me as a priest, I have mine set at a pretty low value because I can heal myself automatically. On my more DPS oriented classes, I tend to have the herb set at about 70 or 60, maybe 80%, depending how squishy you are, and the potion more geared toward the 60 or 50 range, but that's totally up to you. It's personal preference, whatever you like to do there. I find this super helpful, especially once you get into chaos raids and you need to start focusing more on that DPS and the mechanics of the actual fight. This just saves you that extra focus being taken away to monitor your hotkeys, the cooldowns of the items themselves, and actually using them based on your health. Your pet just covers all of that for you. So it's a big help in that regard. The only thing I would mention, again, I don't have it on as a priest, just I find I don't really actually use my potions ever because I either don't get hit or I get hit and I'm dead just because I am so squishy. But on my DPS people, especially my knight, if you do have the room on your hotkeys down here, I highly recommend putting those same consumables that you put your pet on to use automatically on your hotkey. The reason for this is you're not going to be using them yourself, but I have definitely ran into the situation where I just died in a fight when I really shouldn't have because I didn't know I'd run out of the item in my inventory. There's no notification for it or anything. And so my pet obviously didn't have anything to use, and I just stopped using any herbs or potions. The next thing we're going to go over is this fusion tab, which I'm actually going to mostly skip over the main function of this for now. I'm just going to be using it to sort of look at and review the different pets in a nice sorted manner here. You will see the difference between the common pets, the ones with the white names. You'll notice just to the left of my cursor in the tab that's popped up, you can see that it gives a bonus attack of +9. And if you look a little further down, it'll say pet abilities, and there's actually no talents that it has as a common pet. But once you upgrade and go to a green pet here, you'll notice that the attack bonus actually increases to 15 per level. And just below that, it has a bonus talent that increases one of your stats. And then this again happens when you go up to the blue with, well, +21 attack bonus, and it gets 2 talents. And then I unfortunately don't quite have one yet, but the epic pet will have 3 talents for you. It's these talents that really can boost your DPS, especially if you get the right ones for your class. And additionally, the upgrade from each quality may not seem that great. It's about 6 extra bonus attack, but that's bonus attack per level. And considering the pets can go up to level 50, that's a huge bonus just in and of itself, not even taking into the bonus talents. Now, considering how important the bonus talents are, you are going to want to look for some on a pet that are going to really help your class. Right now, I would say that these are mostly up to you. Maplestory is still a pretty new game, so there's not really any optimization yet. There's no best build or best talents to go for at the moment. The only thing I would say is that you're going to want one, mine actually here doesn't, so not a good example, but you're going to want a pet that has a bonus talent of piercing in it. The reason for that is it's just kind of like how accuracy affects your DPS in a major way, is if it's not high enough for the dungeon you're doing, you're not going to be able to hit the boss. Piercing affects its defenses, and once you get into chaos raids, I'm not that high. Again, I'm a priest, but I definitely could have this higher. I'm a support priest though, so it'll vary a bit. But you're going to want your piercing to be at about a soft cap of 30%, which is Definitely hard to hit. I don't expect you to be there right away. No one really does once you go into raids. But once you start getting that legendary gear, you start getting more stats and bonus attributes, start maxing stuff out, and hopefully on that pet of yours get piercing as well. You'll start creeping up closer to that. That's an ideal situation, but it is hard to get. So any little bit that you can get to push yourself a little bit closer and get there is really going to help you out in the long run. And obviously, our end goal with the pets and the rarity is to eventually end up with an epic pet that gives you all that extra bonus attack and 3 talents. However, they do have an incredibly low drop chance from capturing. I believe the average people say is about 1 epic pet for every 3,000 traps that are used. So that can definitely take up your time, but you never know. You could get lucky. I don't think I've been the lucky person in any regard so far in this game, but that is okay. I still love and enjoy the game, obviously. But otherwise, you're probably looking at spending anywhere upwards of 150, 200 million mesas on the black market to get an epic pet, at least on the NA West server that I am playing on. I'm just going to take a quick look and bring the black market up here once I load out of my house, and we can take a look at just how expensive those pets are. So yeah, you can open the black market just on your this third selection here, the black market, and then you'll just change the type of search you want to pets, and then change the quality to epic, which will show you those obviously epic pets. Yeah, they're 150 million. And then if I wanted to make it even more direct, I can select additional options, and then I can pick a stat that I want it to have, which is say piercing. I could go a little further and say I want it to have a minimum of a specific amount of piercing, but for now, we'll just do that. And yeah, so if you wanted a good epic pet with piercing, you're looking at 300 million mesos, which I don't know about you, but that's a little bit out of my price range. So instead of that epic pet, you're going to want to be looking for a blue pet to begin your pet journey with. Ideally, one with that piercing percentage bonus talent. But beyond that, you don't necessarily need to be too picky about the talents on your bonus pet because it will eventually obviously be replaced by that epic pet. But you are going to want to be very picky about the talents that are on the epic pet you have, as that's kind of like your forever pet, at least until they do come out with legendary pets or better. Just a quick side note here on the talents of the pet is if you do happen to catch one or get one while farming, or if you do, yeah, want to buy one for cheaper, there is this change talents tab in the pet section as well, which if you've watched my earlier videos, it is quite similar to the change attribute section for your gear, where you can consume metacells, crystal fragments, and green crystals in order to change the talents on your pet. Um, so mine currently has the magic piercing and critical rate talents, which are not very good at all. But I could re-roll this and it'll change what the magical piercing and critical rate are at complete random. It could give me piercing, it could give me bonus health, it could give me move speed, completely unknown, and the number or amount that it gives you will be completely random as well, dependent on the stat. And you can always see a stat's range, like what number it can be between its minimum and maximum here as well. But yeah, that's also random. And the last thing to note is this bonus talents rerolled is it'll keep track of how many times you have done this change talent on that specific pet, and it'll consume more and more of these materials every time that you do it. I actually have bad stats on this pet, so I'll do a reroll here quickly, see what I get. Um, yeah, this is a bit better actually. I get a little bit of magic attack, which not that great, but range damage is going to be a lot better for me than zero point 0.5 magical piercing. So I can choose if I wanted to keep my old ones if they were better. You're not stuck with whatever it gives you, or I can pick to take the new ones. But you'll notice now that it costs 120, 115 instead of just 100. I don't really recommend doing this on a blue pet. They're pretty easy to get. You can change them whenever you want. Just buy one, that's fine. But that will come in handy when you're looking at getting good stats on that epic pet of yours. in terms of actually getting this blue pet of yours that I keep talking about, you have a couple options to do so. The easiest way is obviously just going to be the black market. They're a tad pricey, but not nearly as expensive as Epic Pets. I can just look them up quickly here, and yeah, they're only 780 to say a million if you wanted one with piercing or something, perhaps. Um, yeah, even with piercing, they're still the same price. So it's really not that expensive, and it'll get you started right away on that pet. The next option you have for acquiring a pet is going to be one of the things that kind of just happens passively for you as you're getting gear, grinding those dungeons, and going for your plus 15 weapon. You'll notice here in the hard adventure tab, and actually chaos raids as well, they do the same thing. If you scroll down to the rewards, you'll see each of these dungeons has a chance to drop a little kind of mini version of itself. They're always going to be a blue pet. They're always going to have the same stats as the blue pets with 2 talents that are also completely random, but you can obviously get a good pet this way and not have to spend any real time or money outside of what you're going to be grinding anyway. The only difference on these is you'll see like the Pyrosfard here has pet tricks, which has a chance to increase your movement speed by 5% for 5 seconds. All of the bosses kind of have their own little version of this, but they're all either just utility or minor defense boosts. So I'm not going to really go over those in much detail. You can kind of go through here and look at all the different ones that you can get on your own if that is something you care about. And finally, just before we get into the real meat and core of this video, the other way you can get pets is these toughen up daily missions. They'll give you these power mission boxes, which have a chance to give you a Dryad pet random capsule S. When you open those from your inventory, they usually give you things like pet candy, which you'll need to catch pets, and pet snares, which we'll go over all of that later. But it also does have a chance to give you a pet of random quality. I have heard of people even getting epics from those. So if you want to go ahead and do that, that's definitely an option for you, but it's not nearly as reliable as these other ways. But now that we have all of that boring preliminary stuff out of the way, we can kind of get into what this video is really about and why most of you are actually probably here watching this is how do you go out there and get your own pet? What's the most efficient way to do it, to level your pet, all that sort of stuff. So firstly, you will need a few materials in order to start capturing your pet. You're going to need this pet candy that I've mentioned a few times. It's right here. It's called Dryad Pet Candy. This is what you're going to throw at the monsters, which I'll show you a bit later in the video as I'll do an example, in order to feed them and fill this little bar under their health up. Once that gets full, you can start capturing them. But these you can just, people sell them on the black market, but they're actually just sold at any supply shop on the map, and they're about 1,000 a piece here. It takes about 10 pet candy in order to feed one pet. So I usually buy them in like bulks of a few thousand. As you can see, I already have, yeah, 5,000 there. That's going to be one of the main components you need. Never buy them off the auction house or the black market, sorry, unless they're below 1,000. And if you ever need help finding a supply shop, again, the map, your best friend. This search tool, super helpful for anything you really need to find. You just type supply, oh, I guess I do need to type the full supply shop, and it'll show you everyone who is a supply shop, and you just click on them. They'll show you what town they're in and where they are as well. The next thing you're going to need besides the pet candy is the Dryad pet snares. There's different ranks of them. There's the G1, G2, and G3. Big thing to note is the G1 snares are obviously going to have a lower chance of getting any rare, exceptional, or epic pets, and are basically going to only really ever catch you common pets. The G2 snares are a big step up from that in that they have a better chance to catch all forms of pets. You're increasing the chance that you'll get a better quality pet of all ranks. However, a lot of people I feel don't quite know this yet is that the G3 snare actually has the same chance as the G2 to catch an epic pet. It only increases your chance of catching a rare or exceptional pet. The epic pet chance is the same. So if you're going out and buying these snares, go for the G2 because they're, I think, 3 times as cheap and you're going to have the same chance to catch that epic pet we're going for anyway. But if you're like me and you don't want to spend a bunch of money on the snares and the other things you need to do in order to capture a pet, you can actually make them. If you just go in your life skills, this leisure tab, and you go down to pet taming, you can make the G1, G2, and G3 snares as you rank up. Mine's rank 3, which is why I'm able to make the G3 snares. They all cost the same materials. They require an earth fragment and a potion solvent in order to make them. The earth fragments, really easy to get. You can just place these meteorite trees in your house through the furnishing life skills item, and they will be, yeah, right there, the mysterious meteorite trees. Once you have those, you don't need any rank in any of the skills. You can get them right away. You just gather these items, and it's the same as any other farming or ranching material. The potion solvents, however, you can buy them again off the auction house. They are cheaper than the snares, I believe, but they are still quite a pricey item, especially as you need one for every snare. And as I said, you may need up to 3,000 to get that epic pet of yours, so that's going to add up quite fast. The best way to get them other than that is farming them. They do drop from any monsters that have the typing, I guess you would say, of divine or humanoids, and I believe devils as well. There's a couple places you can farm this. There's no definitive best area. I like to farm them from Lulu Village. There's a specific place in Lulu Village that does tend to be better. It just has a lot of mobs in one small compact area, and they have an incredibly high respawn rate. So you can farming here. Yeah, you just go to Lulu Village up on this little mound here, and all of these monsters. You can farm them pretty quick, and you'll hopefully get a chance to see just how fast they do respawn. Farming here usually nets about, I already got one potion solvent. I've heard people get up to 150 to 180 potion solvents every hour. I tend to average about 120, so that's about 2 every minute or so. I am a priest, so my DPS will be a tad lower than those others, but it really is going to save you a lot of money in the long run. And once I get into actually showing you places to farm the actual pets themselves, there's an option you do have that is a little bit more challenging of an area, but it does drop potion solvents as well to hopefully save you some time. All of that taken into account, once you do get that earth fragments and the potion solvents, you can start making these snares of yours and hopefully ranking this pet taming ability of yours up. There are a few ways to actually speed up the acquisition of this by getting more earth fragments a day. I don't want to make this guide super long because it'll go on forever if I just keep tangenting off on other things, but I'll cover that in the life skills video with some consumables and a little few tips and tricks you're able to do to increase the amount you get every day. Whether you buy the materials for them or you go out to farm them yourself, I do recommend doing the life skill portion of it though, just because it will save you money and time in the long run, regardless of whether you farm the potion solvents or you buy them off the market. The other thing is that later, especially once you have your epic pet, if you don't want to farm anymore, this becomes a huge money source for you because all you need to do is go to your house, get these earth fragments, and then, yeah, as I showed you, these potion solvents sell for quite a lot of money, the 12,680 each. And if you don't want to farm, you could still just buy those, turn them into dryad snares, and boom, you made 2,600 mesos per item you were able to craft that day. Earlier, a couple days ago, potion solvents were actually only about 8,000 each, and these snares were the same price. So you doubled your profit in mesos just by crafting. All right, so we've got the information, we've collected our materials, made everything we need to, and we are ready to go hunting for those pets. But where do you go about doing this? In terms of efficiency, there's going to be two areas that are pretty ideal for it. They each have their bonuses over each other. The area I normally do this at is going to be Aurora Labs map. you can again just search it on your map, click it here, it'll take you right there. It is a level 57 area, which is essentially its drawback, that once you're running around trying to get the pets, killing mobs in order to get them to respawn as a pet instead of a monster is going to be a bit harder. And I know once you kind of get mobs of them attacking you, it can definitely do some damage to you. And that's kind of what turns people off from it because they sometimes need to use pots and herbs to sustain themselves while they're running around pet farming. Um, uh, Possibly why I like it the most, though, then is because I am a priest and I do have the ability to just heal and sustain myself, and I don't need to worry about spending that money on pots or anything. But the big plus to this area is that the monsters there are divine and they do drop the potion solvents as you're running around collecting pets. So I kind of see it as farming two things at the same time, kind of getting two birds with one stone. But it's definitely up to you what you choose because if you don't like that sort of method or the drawbacks that it has, you can come here to Revoldic Dam, which is just a large circular map you can quickly travel around. The mobs here, as you kind of saw, I was doing all die easily, one hit, so you can just clear them out quickly. They're not going to hurt you, take you down to health. You're not going to have to worry about sustaining, and you can take them out quickly so that they respawn as monsters. And the other thing to note kind of about the map that you are on once you decide where you kind of want to do it, even if you don't want to do it in one of these two maps, is I'm a bit colorblind, so I'm going to say these dots are blue, but these two and, well, one just spawned, so three little dots, these are the pets that you can capture, all the hungry guys that you can throw food at. And so the way you're going to go about this is you just use it. I like to have it on a quick slot. It's a lot easier. You can actually just hold it down and spam it. And you see every time I hit him with it, it goes up. And once it gets full, he has a heart above his head and he will try to follow me. So what you want to do is get the heart, place a trap, and get them to walk over it while that heart is still active. The reason for that is it's really actually quite frustrating sometimes is say I get him to have a heart above his head, I place my trap down, he heads toward me, but before, oh, I did it too. I did it too well. If they aren't fed in a certain amount of time, their heart will disappear and they will kind of be hungry again. You'll need to feed them another piece of pet food in order to get that back up. And yes, see, watch, if he steps over the trap, he breaks it and consumes it without being captured or anything beneficial. So you really kind of want to watch out for that as well. There is a bit of myth going around with the yellow and red health bars. I think you saw a couple of them as I was capturing pets there. It's said that the yellow and or red health bars under the hungry pets have a higher chance of giving better quality pets. But in an actual post and blog by the Maplestory dev team, they confirmed that that is not true. It's just a more aggressive pet, so it's going to consume more of your pet candy in order to get it full. It's totally still worth capturing it. It's just, it will take a little bit more for you to get there. The last kind of thing I have to say about farming pets, or actually there's two more, is if you don't want to farm in one of these areas or you do want a specific pet for visual purposes, although it doesn't have any effect on your DPS, I definitely know there's some cosmetic and thematic people out there. I'm actually partially one of them, hence my outfit, which I unfortunately had to change my hat on, but you can go in the pets tab over to the album section and there'll be a list of all the pets that you can capture out in the world and or get as drops. Actually, you can see the boss pets here too, and you could just hover over them, click on them if you want to see what they look like, and if you hover over them you'll see the habitat, and the habitat is the map that you are going to be able to find them on if that's the specific pet that you want to capture. So yeah, Fairy Tree Lake, Revoltic Dam. I'm already in Revoltic Dam, but again, you can just go to the map. You could search Fairy Tree Lake here if you wanted to, and find out where that is. You can fly there, take a taxi, or, however you want to go about getting there. All right, we're getting near the end of the video, guys, so just bear with me a little longer here. We've gone out, we've farmed, purchased, or dungeoned our way to that nice blue pet that we're looking for that hopefully has a good piercing stat, or if you're one of the lucky ones, you've got an epic pet. Now, I'm just going to loop back around a little bit to one of the earlier topics is, once again, back in this pet tab, we're ready to talk about fusion and what the heck is it. Fusion is going to be the best way for you to level up this pet, get it stats up, and obviously your stats as well, hopefully unlocking those talents once it gets to a high enough level. Now, it's completely up to you how you go about doing this. I'm going to give you the most efficient and effective way to do this, but if you're too lazy or you don't have the time or the effort, or you've just got a ton of mesas and you want to throw it at your pet to increase your DPS, by all means, you're good to do that. You can just shove a bunch of pets in there, increase his DPS or his experience as fast as possible, consume some of those green or blue pets that you have as extra, or buying them off the market. But that is going to be quite costly. Every pet you use does require 10,000 mesos in order just to fuse it. That doesn't even count buying or acquiring it. However, the white pets are going to give him 1,500 experience. Green will give 3,000, and then blue will give 5,000 as well. However, you'll notice that there's a fusion bonuses left here, and I have 24. I haven't used any of them. That's what you start with, and you get 24 every single day. The most efficient way to go about this is, if you do just want to do it quick, you're totally fine to, just put those pets in 12, click fuse, 12 again, click fuse. But that will be much more costly and not quite as efficient as the method I'll show you now. I am going to go a bit slower in this part just because I want to make sure you guys really get it and understand the process so that you can replicate it and do it for yourselves, as it is a bit more technical, I suppose, than the rest of the video. So the first thing you're going to want to do is obviously have your pet, and you're going to want to have a green pet as well. What you're going to want to do first with this green pet is you're actually going to use some of these fusion bonuses on this pet as well. The fusion bonuses increase the amount of experience the pet gets by 3,000, regardless of what quality of pet you use to fuse with it. So normally, these give 1,500, but because I have a fusion bonus, it gives 4,500. Additionally, the amount of experience the green pet needs in order to level up is much less than a blue pet. So this one's level 1 and requires 55,000. This level 1 blue pet requires 90,000. And as you see, I have 12 pets in here, and it only costs 60,000 mesos to fuse them all, rather than what the blue one would be as 120,000. So it's half the price. And essentially, what you're wanting to do is get this green pet, put 12 pets in it with the fusion bonus. It'll get it just before level 2. You don't actually want to get it up to level 2. You want it to have an almost full experience bar. You're going to use fuse it together, and now you'll have this almost level 2 pet with 54,000 experience. The reason this is more efficient is because the percent of experience this pet has is quite high, and it's dependent on the amount that your pet gets when you fuse a monster with it is dependent on the level and percent of experience in that level that the pet has. So whether or not I made that understandable, essentially when you fuse this, he got almost half a level of experience just from that one fusion of almost level 2 pet. Whereas, say I use a green pet, he only got the 3,000 experience, or 6,000 actually with the fusion bonus as well. So it makes a huge difference just doing it this way. It's way more efficient. So I'm going to go ahead and fuse that together. And I'm actually probably going to give him just one common pet. I wouldn't normally do that, but I want to get him the level just because he's so close there. But after all of that, we've got 10 fusion bonuses left. Now, that's obviously not enough to do either of the things we've previously just shown you with the green pet or filling a full bar and fusing with him. You, at this point, can, again, just put a bunch of pets in if you want. But if you're going for the long run, you can go with another green pet, put 10 common pets in there. You're not going to want to fill the bar this time, just using up all of those fusion bonuses you can for the most efficient leveling possible, and going to fuse those together, and you'll have been run out. But now you kind of have this green pet, and you have nothing to do with it. Well, the reason I say it's for the long run is because tomorrow, when you get 24 fusion bonuses again, you can get another level 1 green pet from scratch, almost up to level 2. You can definitely finish this guy off, and you can feed 2 almost level 2 green pets to your blue pet in that one day. So it kind of accumulates over time, especially as you'll again have more fusion bonuses. And it ends up being, yeah, every other day or so, you can feed 2 pets to your blue pet. And it's just saves you money. It's more effective in terms of how much experience your pet gets every day. It's all around the best way to level your pet, at least from what we know so far in the game. If there are any questions about this specific process, I can definitely outline it in the description or comments if any of you want. Just feel free to ask me questions on this guide or any other guide, honestly. Not even just about this, but any part of it. However, that does actually bring us to the end of the guide here. So if you've made it all the way through, you're still listening, congratulations on making it to the end. I know this was quite a lengthy video this time around. There was just a lot to cover regarding pets, but this should be absolutely everything and anything you could need to know about pets. And again, if you did find this guide helpful, please do just give it a thumbs up. It helps me out quite a lot. And if you do want, again, yeah, just hit that subscribe button, notification bell. You'll get notifications and heads up every time I put out a new video, once, hopefully every day. If you'd like, you could also follow my Twitter and everything. I do have that in the description on my profile. I do try to update those anytime I update my YouTube channel or stream. But thank you guys again. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and have a wonderful mapling time.